Okay, we're going to be in the Hakavanot, hopefully, God willing, and I have enough prepared here to get us through. And what happened is that we went through an arichas over here on page Reish Kaf Ches, and now we're on Reish Kaf Tes. And I think on this page where you have Hakdama L'Kavanas Aliyas on the Ran, I think we did that already. I'm not sure, but it seems to me very familiar. So I'm going to start with number Nun. Number Nun, then it's going to come over, and there's going to be a little bit of a richus there. And let's see. He's going to say something that contradicts something that, in regards to the Ana B'Koach. I remember that Rabbi Mimran told us that the words of the Ana B'Koach, the letters, the abbreviations, he had found, I don't know, one of the Sfarm that he learned, which we have, but we don't learn it, we're not involved with it, that you could actually say the names, like Avgi. But over here, the Rab says no. So let's see how that works out. He says, number Nun, down at the bottom of the page then, it says, V'achar kach, he says after that, come on over here, baby. Na'atik es lashon ha-pri Eitz Chaim. Let's go over there and see what the Pri Eitz Chaim has to say. Now, where are we in terms of, we're at the Kriya Shemala Lamita, and he's filling in a lot of blanks in terms of the kavonos that we should have. So he says, Adam la'alos nishmaso lamala balada besod hapikadam nafsho. I guess that's how you pronounce it, pikadam nafsho. He's going to deposit his soul in a higher place. This is a kavana that one should have there. And that's that phrase, the very last phrase that you're supposed to say before you go to sleep. And there's a kavana on this that we are supposed to have. So he's going to go through a bunch of different ideas here. Let's see. First, number Aleph. Hu sheba'osach hayom yakaven hete b'tifilaso ad shegarim zivug elyon be'ez nefilas apayim, until, as a result of that. Now, where do we get the nefilas apayim? Is there's a vidui, but what we understand is a nefilas apayim. Well, that takes place at different times, not before bed. When he says the Nefilas Apayim, it means V'yomer Hashem El God, or whatever that one does according to the Girza that he works on. V'zechad Sod Mi Ya'ala B'chach Hashem. And this is the secret of this time. Who could go to the mountain of Hashem? Pirush Mi Hu Ha'ish Sheyuchol La'alas Nishmaso B'lai Lecho L'Mala B'chach Hashem. So this idea, who are you? Shehu Gan Eden Shalomalo. So that means that, I don't know, it's Lashon Bina. Vehe Shiva Pasuk, and then he brings the Pasuk, Nikilu Kapayim, a person who has clean hands. He says, so here's Kapayim goes, well, let me just look just for a second. Kapayim means hands. Okay. Kapayim. Asher also the Shav Nafsha, that he's not attempting to elevate his soul. In Spanish, they say por gusto. He's just trying to do it. Pirush, kashe'osa ba'osa nesiyas nafsha. When you're doing this elevation, and your kavana should be that this is your last statement, and what you're doing is you're now making the move. So he says that person, Hashem nafshi esa. When you say that phrase, I'm going to lift up my nefesh. V'osa, and he does, shekasher nasa nafshecha b'yom ahu, lo choysa l'shav v'lechinan. So if a person lifts up his soul on that particular day, it won't be for nothing. Rak shechoya koch b'yado l'grom zivug elyon ayedei nefilas apayim shalos, because falling on a person's face. So it's different. It's just similar, the word apayim, to the word kapayim. He says the grown zivug elyon yedei nefilas apayim shalo. This is the kavana. Nimsa shalo hoya the shav nesias nafsho. It's not worthless. He nechav achazeh ta'al lechanasho b'laylo b'char Hashem b'b'makum kadjo la'aso zivug elyon, because this is now mayim nukvin, and as a result it will cause a yichud. The zivug elyon she'osa acharatzos layla k'noda ha'yedech b'man she'osa b'layla, because that's why I guess I just repeated it back. So he says like this, number bet. These are person who's going to be rowy, to be able to lift his soul up. Number base, he says, Shetzara kashiyiten biyom malchut tzedakah ketikuna. So this is a person, how does he do that? The person does a proper way of giving tzedakah. Shhulo yadacha leminaisna. So that's the idea, is it's just not a personal gift where you become greater than the person you're giving to, but that the person should not know where it came from, but that it came. V'gama mekabel lo yadacha b'mekabel also has to be, that's the other part, that you don't know who you're giving the money to, and that the recipient doesn't know either. V'shiyeh hagod roy l'seis lo tzedakah, and this will make a person fit to give tzedakah. You don't have to do what, I'm not sure what that means. Everybody does that. Ella afilu im lo oza ella echad me'elo tikunim. So you don't have to do all of the tikunim that he's talking about. This is number bet. Yasbig la'alos nishmasa b'layla ahu. That's enough to bring the person's soul up. Rak im oza chas v'shalom ezer avera gedoyder amonaz also la'alos, which would hold it back, because the person did something that works against this aliyah. Vein anu medabrach ala ba'adam sherotza lehisnage b'darchei Hashem. This only works for a person who is noeg to be going to the to custom himself in the Darch Hashem. So also it refers to a person who did not do Averas B'mezid. Number Gimel, he says, Sar shehi neged einav kol hachatoim shebohu l'decha be'osach hayom. So he says also a person needs to do, in other words, a review in his mind, all of the different mistakes, the insults or the hirhurim roim, whatever the person may have, that came into his, what came before him. So therefore it should be in the person's eyes as he's laying down. In other words, you should be reviewing this as you're going to sleep. Now, I may be tired, so I see that in the Kriya Shema L'Mita, everyone sees all the things I saw in the Rishash indicate that the most important thing is the Kriya Shema. So if you're so tired, which can happen, that all you can do is just make the Birchas of Mapel, say this, for example, that, and then say the Kriya Shema. Or if not, just say the Kriya Shema. That seems to be the idea. But here he says, so all the mistakes that he made during the day. So Kriya Shema Kanoida, and he should then, let me say this again, after the Kriya Shema, and in the Siddur, the Sfardi Siddur, which we are working on here now, he says, so you have to make a vidui, Kriya Shema Kanoida. Shesiduro hu acher yoshe b'seiser elyon, which we say after that phrase. So first we say the three different parts of pulling in the Shema, we're talking about the nefesh, out of olam al Assiyah, and moving it up. He says, Shesiduro hu acher yoshe b'seiser elyon, so then you're going to say that first. Ve'elin ikrun mari dechushbana b'kol lailo. So the people who do this are considered the people of the counting. In other words, going through all of the mistakes. I guess you would say for the time you got up in the morning, well, here we are. until the time that you went to bed, a lot of water flowed under the bridge. And you shouldn't lose any one of those mistakes. You have to confess on them at the time that you lay down. So not to forget one of them. In other words, this is an obligation that we have to spend a moment, if you can, to go over these ideas. Number Dalet, olav kol hayom tefillin b'li hesach hadas. So this we don't do anymore. Im Hakavanot hayudura etzleino, with the kavana that is known by us, is that we should have this idea. So you should have this idea. To wear tefillin all day long. Were you wearing tefillin all day long? Were you able to concentrate on those on the fact that you're wearing tefillin? Number hey, he said hey and vav. He said man de mizake lachayvecha be'osach hayom. Let's say that you did something to fortify, which we hopefully that we're able to do, someone who has been on the wrong side, and to strengthen them for this particular day. Let's say you see someone who doesn't keep Shabbos, or you see someone that does some Avera that he thinks is normal, or that you're able to speak to a person's heart, and that helps. That a person is complete, and that's what the idea that he wants to bring over here, that soul will go up. So let me see if I read this wrong. So I guess he concentrates on those things. I'm not sure what he meant there. The near lonely is daite ata, but now it seems to me, sheshemati b'morizilho. So this seems to be a quote from Rabbi Chaim Vital. She'ein tzarich l'schor b'chatoyim she'asa b'yomahu b'pratos. You don't really have to remember every single one of them. This is what he thinks, every Avera, every moment of every day, to go through that day. Let's say you sleep 8 hours. So that would give you 16 hours of trying to go through and refine out all the things you did wrong. But he says, according to the Rav, that's not correct. Dim came ein l'davar sof, because if you start in with that, let's say you got into a little something that irritated you, that bothered you, and you have some bad feelings about something. But on the other hand, if you started to go through and find all of those different places where things went wrong, it could be difficult. Amnam sheyatriach v'yizkor kol ma sheyochu mechatoim she'asa b'yomahu. That's what it is. Go back through it as best you can. That's enough. Maspeak. This itself, going through the mistakes that you made, he said, that is enough to free your soul, so that it could go up as my nukvein v'lo yehe tarud behedle ha'olam. And this is the secret idea. The idea is that all of those things, these I like this phrase, the hevle of the really lack of importance of many of the things that we have to go through. Now let's take a look over here at the TIV Hakavanot. I really didn't read it. I got right away into number Lamed Gimel. So let's go over to the TIV Hakavanot, or the Rav himself. What did I do? What did I do wrong? Okay, so we'll read it again from number Nun. V'achakach b'kavein ki'ilu niftach me'olam v'Assiyah. Now the idea is this: come to the thinking that you're no longer nifteris, that your soul is excused me'olam hasiyah, the things that we ordinarily need to do in this, and all of the hevel of this world. And this is your kavana. So we have to think in terms of this term, that the soul will fly, will be able to float. So then he says Yakaven, so you should have this kavana. V'yidben ba'atzmo, and it should appear to the person himself, ki'idahu meis v'niftar mina olam Assiyah, as if he's no longer has to be involved in olam Assiyah. V'yitzar b'machshavtahu ki'ilu nasho parachas megufo. So now we should think as if his soul, his thought, v'yitzar b'machshav, to form in a person's mind. This is, you're saying, v'yaduka afki ruchi. He said, "V'yitzar b'machshavto ki'ilu nafsho parechas megufa v'olam ha'olam Assiyah al olam haYetzirah." So now we'll look over here on number Nun Aleph. So he says, "V'aliyah zu hi b'koach shem mab of the abgi." Now he's going to say something here which contradicts Rabbi Mimran. So I think that Rabbi Mimran had something to say. Let's see what they're going to say here. He says, so he says that Abgi and the Shakuts, Shehem Sheva Shemas, are 7 different names. Each one of them has 6 letters in it. It makes 42. Keneged Sheva Spiras Mechased Al Malchus. So what you're dealing with is the Zat. B'kaven Shaliyah Zos Na'asach B'koich Shem Ben Mab the Yetzirah. It becomes actually one of the names, but it is the name for Yetzirah. And as a result of that, which is also included in the Kriya Shema, he said, Ba'alamita, he says that you have this movement now. This is your first idea. You're going to come across, after the Vidui, you're going to come across the Anabakoach. Shuhu Shem Abag, and then he says Yatz. So he says, "V'Hashem Azera B'Kol B'Shevel Shemos B'Gematria Shisha Osius B'nei Shisha Osius Kol Echad." Each one of them is going to have 6 letters. Shehem Keneged Shivas Spheres Mechased Ad Malchus. So we understand that you're moving all of that up when you come to this place where it's going to be. Now he comes to this part here, which we have to take seriously. I don't know. This is the Rav speaking. So now you did vidui. And he's telling you what your idea should be, that you in fact did make mistakes during the day. You may not remember every single one of them, but you say the vidui. So in this case, then you start saying that. But the Rav writes, you should not say that name by itself. So how it is that is referenced in Bereshis, Tevo shall tfilazu the anabakoach. But rather that's the idea. Now what did that mean, that last part? He said, V'al ech nirmaz Bereshis. What's Bereshis got to do here? Tevo shall tfilazu, which is the anabakoach. So I don't know what he meant by Bereshis. So let's see. So that's the anabakoach. That's what it is. But you should be careful not to say all the letters of that name. Hashem Atzman, there's names themselves. Bepiv, it should not come out of his mouth. Levisha also the Bata Shemos Bepeh. That's a very strong statement. But rather think about the names only in thought. So I heard this. Of course, we all heard this maybe before Rabbi Mimran came along. And what he did was he showed from that, I thought it was Rav Srad Dablevsky, but maybe you remember, but I don't remember exactly who said this, but that actually the letters themselves stand for the names of different malachim. And as long as you don't go into the names of the malachim that each one of the anabakoach represents, then that's basically, that was the idea that Rabbi Memron gave. Okay, so let's see, is there a little bit more? There was a Lamed Dollar down below. And he's not going to, I don't see him going to be helping me out of this. And so therefore, I'm not sure what to do. What's psak here? Since we heard this from our Rav who was teaching us, and he also fleshed it out. But over here, these are actually the words of the Rav, and the Rav is saying, don't say the letters. So therefore, I'm going to stop saying them. I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, but it can't be anything harm in it if I don't say the whole idea out. It comes from the Tikuni Zohar. What we're about to get into now is from this idea. V'zera l'shona, this is what it says. Elul Sheva Tevos of the Abgi, Alaihu Itmar Srafim. Now he said, let me go back over again. I'm trying to refine what I'm doing. I don't know what your opinion is. He says that you should not say this phrase at all. Sounds to me like you shouldn't say Avgi without finishing it, but you rather should just leave it there. Maybe call it the Av. I don't know. So he doesn't say, since we have this contradiction, Tevin Avgitat Zalahu Itbach Srafim on this, or the Srafim, or certain kind of angels, said them. V'hai Shma Ihu Sugulasach delay, the Kasav, the cover over Linishmasa, Kadei Slikas the Elah Bakol Laila La Ashara al Uvdim Tavim the Barnash, in order to surround, I guess, so to speak, what the person does. So Malachi Havola from different Malachim, B'kol Laila, Lahasahada al Ovdim Tavim de Barnash, in order to give testimony about the good things that person does. This is the surrounding idea of the Ana B'koach. Malachi Havola, from those Malachim Chavola who are destroying angels. And B'kol Mezikim V'ruchim V'layla V'shay, I don't know, it's pronounced as the Plini, the Plonim, and the Shakim, the Shadim, V'chem Parachas La'ela. And from this, they fly upwards as a result of this. V'trin Asvan B'kol Shem. Now this is, still got this cold, this cold, which is mostly a cough. Well, not completely, but Makal Shem Tekazach. So he says that every time you get to one of these names, and we have this in the Rishash Siddur, I would really like very much to learn more about it. He said, Betrin Asvan, you take two of the letters, Mikal Shem Yiskasa an Paho Minahom. A person should cover his face from them. Mitrin Asvan Tekasa Raglo. So exactly what this means again. And with two of the letters, remember there are 6 letters, 7 times 6 letters. With two of the letters, you should have the idea of covering your feet. Now you covered your face, you covered your feet, and he said, Ubatrin Asfun Parachas La'ela. And with the final 2 letters, I guess that's what he's saying, and it is in the Rishash Siddur. It's just that it's just a little bit beyond me what it's actually accomplishing by covering your face, covering your feet, and then the last 2, the next 2, you're going to use that, Asvun Parachas La'ela. Now this may be a really big idea. This is the idea of actually putting a booster underneath your rocket ship, so to speak, and firing up into Olam Yetzirah. V'avhache l'rucha. So also this, it's a ruach that you're dealing with. V'ovchache l'nafsha. So for his ruach and also for the person's nefesh. Ruach goes with Olam Yetzirah. I don't know exactly how to understand this. And then avchache l'nafsha. So he's telling us that this could be used. It is in the Rishash Siddur, and like I say, it's a direct statement of how why do you cover your face? Why do you cover your feet? So he's saying cover yourself completely from head to the toe. With what? The good things you've done today. And then the last two letters, he says, will actually propel you up above. So we have a couple. That's it. We're out of time. Okay, I'll see you on the backside. And like I said, check that out on that Rosh Hashanah and see that, I just don't know where I did with any more recent copies. And I'm going to send away for it if you think that's appropriate. Okay, have a great day. Thank you. Kol Tov.